Hello, good day. This is Jonrel
And Joni.
of JIP Migrate, welcoming you all to the JIP podcast once again. Oh, by the way, with all the JIP Migrate team, we welcome you all. Welcome to all the listeners. So
Welcome.
yeah, and where we share educational materials and latest news and basically anything that would help you have a better decision, a more educated decision to migrate to Europe. Hopefully, all right. So this is gonna be the purpose of our podcast. We try to make it more often, and yeah, we're trying our best. Okay, as much as we have time. All right. So, well, that's out of the way. Okay. So, it has been a very good season. It's getting, it's been getting better. The season, the weather, it's getting warmer, right? How warm is it now here in Europe?
Around 10.
10 degrees. Beautiful, beautiful 10 degrees. Not cold anymore. You get a little bit of sweat already once you like after you walk. We actually walked 7 kilometers the other day and yesterday, I think. We usually do 10 when we go to another city. We usually have long walks, but that's usually in the summer. Now we don't really feel like going to going too far with this weather yet, but soon in a few months. So, but it's getting better. Birds are coming back. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So yeah, I think hopefully more plants will bloom now because well, we like it that way because the winter was just, oh my gosh, that was cold. I think it was our first time experiencing -20 back then, back in January. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
-20 the whole day, a few days actually, and we were walking towards the train station and our feet were freezing inside our shoes. It was that cold. So anyway, the weather is getting better. But anyway, so our topic for today, we will be answering frequently asked questions. We just got it online basically. What are the frequently asked questions about migrating to Europe? And we found the questions quite interesting. So yeah, it will be very interesting to answer it, and hopefully that will help you guys have an educated decision towards migrating to Europe if you are ready, of course. All right. So yeah, what do we have there? What are you showing right now?
Let's show this video.
Are you a skilled professional aspiring to relocate to Europe? JIP Migrate facilitates this transition. Leveraging our team's awesome expertise, we ensure your legal migration to Europe, granting you the opportunity to explore professional avenues while residing with you and your family. Additionally, we paved the way for potential citizenship in the far future. So want to migrate to Europe? Contact JIP Migrate. We enable possibilities for those who are ready to move.
And there you go, a video from our sponsor, sponsor of this podcast as well. That was JP Migrate team, delivering to you our migration program offers. If you are interested to migrate to Europe in a legal way, where you can stay where you can stay almost like forever, that's what we can help you with. All right. So yeah, contact JIP Migrate if you are interested in that. So now let's get into the topic of yeah, where we answer the frequently asked questions. This might not be a very long video, but nevertheless very important for us to answer these questions. Okay, what questions do we have there?
Let's start right away. First question, what visa do I need to move to Europe?
So yes, very important question. What visa do I need to move to Europe? Well, that's a very broad question which has many answers because it really depends on what your purpose is. That's what you have to really think about firstly. What will be your purpose? Are you going to set up a business in Europe? Are you going to study in Europe, or are you going to invest in some way, for example, in real estate or in an existing business or donations, these kind of things? We have programs for that. So each purpose would have very big effects on how long or what kind of visa you would have, how long the visa, what kind, would you bring your family, these kind of things. So let me just give you an example. All right, for example, us, mostly the kind of clients we serve now are investors. All right, so they would come in, they're mostly wealthy individuals who want to preserve their wealth and would want to come to Europe because they basically want to enjoy their wealth in a much better environment. Okay, so what we would recommend to them usually is go for the golden visa. All right, where they invest in a real estate property most of the time, for example in France. Okay, then we would help them with a property, they would buy it, and the government would honor their purchase for as a basis for their residency. So that's one big way for them and their family to come to France, for example, and stay there. But they do not only have to stay in France, because they can always go to other countries if they want. Another day they want to go to Norway, no problem, because as you know, the European Union has no borders, Schengen zone basically. So if you live in France, you can actually live anywhere in Europe. You don't have to stay in one country. So more of that later on, but maybe another example of what visa can you take. All right, in answer as an answer to the question. Is one of the one good way also is tax residency. What does that mean? We have this program in Switzerland, all right, where wealthy individuals would just have to pay bulk tax for the whole year. Usually it's 120,000 euro, or for the whole year, and that will be the basis for their residency. That way also they can, if that number works for them in taxes, then they would rather go to Switzerland and pay that bulk tax and stay in Switzerland, because as you know, Switzerland, very very good country, very safe, healthcare is top notch, and everything is just high quality. It's the best place to live in if you're that kind of person. And some of our clients would have, really high taxes in where they live, like for example USA. So taxes don't really work for them there, so they would rather go to Switzerland and have this tax residency program where they just pay bulk tax, and the Swiss government really doesn't care anymore what other incomes they gain from there. They don't have to pay extra taxes. So those are the two ways we help our high net worth clients to reside in Europe. All right, so in those two programs, they have the fundamental right to stay in one of the countries, plus with their families as well, or business partners depending. Okay, so those are some of the ways. You also have, of course, our freelance programs, where mostly these are for professionals, right? Like I remember this, we have this client. He's an electrician, let's just say electrician, and he wants to do freelance contracts in Europe. We set him up with a company with a certain freelance visa, and yeah, now he's getting contracts through his company. So that can be a way too. So yeah, those are the some examples of what kind of visas you can get to actually reside in Europe. If that applies to you, then good. If not, if you're not sure yet, you can always give us a call and have our team assess your situation and recommend what would be the best for you. So there you go. I think that was a very long answer for a very short question. Let's go to the second one. What do we have?
How do I find accommodation in Europe?
Wow, how do I find? All right. So this is what we help our clients with as well, because accommodation is very important. Before they moved, everything has to be planned, especially accommodation. Well, it's actually very easy. There are lots of properties around. As I've told you, in the golden visas, of course, they don't really have to find accommodation. They can just live on whatever property, right? They buy,
Bye.
right? But in other cases, if needed, really, we help with accommodation as well. Usually it's an apartment. They start out with that, right? Apartments. If it's a four member family, it will be, probably an apartment of 60 square meters and above, something like this. Some clients would want a landed house, no problem. There are lots of these kind of properties all over Europe, and JIP Migrate can help you with that through our real estate department as well, because they would handle also the rentals, the apartments, and talking to the landlords, etc. So this is no problem with regards to accommodation. All right, so what else do we have?
What are the healthcare options for expats in Europe?
Oh, this is a very good question. Healthcare generally in Europe is very good, the best in the world, the best, I guess, because there are several countries. And let me just give you some examples. In countries that we have lived in, it's always, as long as you contribute to their healthcare fund of
National Health Fund.
national health fund, or these kind of things. All right, because each country would have different funds. As long as you contribute to that, then you are entitled mostly for free medical care. What does that mean? Checkups. What else? Like surgeries, accidents,
Maternity.
maternity, pregnancy, while being pregnant, and lots of other medical checkups. Of course, we can always go into more detail, but generally, you have it all for free for most countries, because each country would have different kinds of criteria, but generally, you can expect free medical. For example, for us, we can take ourselves, for example. We have our teeth, what do you call that? Cleaning?
Cleaning.
There's a scaling. Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
Yeah. We almost do that every month because it's for free, and we have time to go to the dentist. It's actually no problem, but it's kind of painful. What do you think?
It is.
Our last experience. So it's not too fun, but anyway, we can do it. The point here is you can have these kind of things, medical things, regularly for free, as long as you contribute to the national health fund of that country. So we like for me, I also last year I had my, what do you call this region of the body? No, I
The
mean
abdomen.
the abdomen part of the body checked, just because my mother died of cancer, so I wanted to be checked if I had anything wrong with me as well.
Yeah.
And I had ultrasound. Yes, was that ultrasound? Ultrasound for free.
Yes, and also all the laboratory
Laboratory
examinations.
examinations. What were those? The blood samples and
Blood
everything. Yeah,
samples, lipid
cholesterol,
sample.
lipids, sugar,
Sugar.
all for free. Yeah. So we never had that back then in our country, in the Philippines, but here where we live, we have that for free. So lots of benefits. I think that the big advantage of this system is that, because health, it sometimes can be accidents. You never expect it. Sometimes you just become sick and you didn't expect it. It will be an emergency kind of expense, right? But in this system, if you have the National Health Fund and you contribute to that, and you're automatically entitled for free healthcare, they give you the best healthcare service for free, and you don't have to worry about it. Like especially for accidents. This is especially convenient for accidents, because back then, comparing the Philippines, if you get accidents there, my wife is in the medical field. What would happen to the patient if he gets an accident? For example, got hit by a car. What would happen next?
They would firstly call the family first instead of calling an ambulance right away, because they would need to check who will pay.
Who will pay? That's the main worry. The hospital, was that the hospital you're talking about? Yeah. The hospital or whoever would call first the family to ask who will pay for the medical treatments, which is terrible because you already had an accident. That should be the least of your worries, right? You should be worried about surviving. right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think, in my opinion, the European system for healthcare works because you never know when accidents come, and when accidents come, you don't want to worry about paying for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if you have the money, you don't really want to worry about, can I pay for it? How do I pay for it? It's all for free already because you've already contributed to the National Health Fund. So it's all taken care of. You just have to worry about surviving and healing up,
Mm-hmm.
recovering. So that's my opinion. So what do you think? Do you have anything to add on that?
I think that's all.
Yeah, okay. But anyway, that was a good point when you said people in the Philippines, when they get accidents, they have to worry about paying. Anyway, so that was the second question. Let's move on for more.
Next is, how do taxes work for expats in Europe?
All right, very good question. You know what? This is the main concerns of our, especially high net worth in clients. All right, because most of them would move from their country. For example, USA. They have. I'm not sure about their taxes, but of course, the taxes, you can't just say it's 20% and that's it. It's more complicated than that. Yes, so they would usually migrate to somewhere else, like here in Europe, and find better taxation. Yes. So yeah, it's very important for them. Now, generally, we can just talk about this generally. If you want more specific information, if this applies to you, then of course consultation would be the best. But generally, taxes in Europe are quite high, right? Quite high.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are 21%, 19%. There are 25%. Do you know how much in Denmark?
How much?
55% or 60, especially in the Scandinavian countries. They have really high taxes, 60%, 50, these kind of things. But of course, that's the general number. There are always workarounds, with the around that number.
Mm-hmm.
You don't just say 50% of whatever. So, but anyway, generally, European taxes are high, but this is what we help our clients with as well. JIP Migrate helps with, we have a team of accountants as well, and tax legals, right, tax lawyers that can help with certain situations of the clients. For example, a client is earning money, for example, in USA, and he would have to align it with what he would earn in Europe, for example. And our tax lawyers or accountants can help with minimizing the taxes. So we are very happy actually with our own accountants who are working with our taxes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing a really good job. I think the taxation in Europe is very fair.
Mm-hmm.
Might be high at face value when you look at the number, but of course, the incentives and everything that you get from it would be very fair. All right. So I think more details can come later in a consultation, of course, because each applicant has their own tax situation. Yes, this is especially true for business owners. Yeah, those are who ask about taxes a lot more. All right. So, do we have other questions? Yeah. What's the next one?
Okay, then what are the requirements for opening a bank account in Europe?
All right. Okay. Now, this one. Opening a bank account in Europe is quite tricky, and you can't just do it willy nilly, right? It's not that simple. You have to, of course, appear, and most of the time, in our experience from our clients, they would have to, of course, have either a registered business, or an employment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, if you're a tourist, basically you can't open a bank, right? And some of our last time our student applicants had a little bit more difficult time opening a bank, but until they got a job, then they did, right? Was
Yes.
that correct? But yeah, some of our students did get their own banks, no problem. But if some of our clients do have difficulties opening a bank, JIP Migrate helps with that as well, right?
Yes.
With our legal team, they're really good at, we're very proud of our team, and we can say it will be no problem for them to represent you to the banks to legally help you open either a personal bank or a business bank, or corporation bank. there's no problem. But generally, if I were to say, generally, you can't just open a bank from a shore, from offshore. Like, for example, the client is still in Singapore, for example, and wants to open a bank in Germany. That's almost impossible. You really have to either be represented by one of our attorneys or appear to the bank yourself and talk to them. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's the general rule. So maybe let's do one more question. There are actually 15 questions, yes. But
Probably let's just continue this in our
next podcast.
podcast.
Let's do one last one. Yeah, and then we can save the others for next time.
Is it necessary to learn the local language when moving to Europe?
Oh, all right. So what do you think? Is it necessary to learn the local language?
It's not required.
Yeah, that's the key word, necessary. It's not really necessary, especially in the bigger cities, right? For example, in Portugal, in Lisbon, you won't really have a problem. Most of the people there would speak English, and you'd be surprised. Not there are lots of non-Portuguese people there, right?
Yeah.
Automatically would speak English. Right? In Spain, Madrid, Barcelona, they would speak English, right?
Yeah.
It's actually good. Even in Hungary, for example, Budapest. Oh, we love that city. Yeah. What do you think?
Anywhere there, people speaks in English.
Almost, I would say anyone, everywhere. Yeah, and there are lots of expats there, which is why it's I think it encourages the city to speak a lot more English. Yes. But where we live, for example, we prefer living in faraway places. Like besides the river, the forests where not much people are. So yeah, we do some of the people, most of the people, like 99% won't really speak English, and we really had to learn the language. But that's us, I mean, that's our preference, and that actually would give us more motivation to learn the language. It is a very big advantage if you are especially doing business in a foreign place here in Europe. Learning the language would be a very big advantage, but it's not really necessary. Yes. So you can actually live your life as an expat, especially in the bigger cities, not learning too much of the language. Of course, I don't want to discourage you by on learning it. You would want to learn it, but it's not necessary. So it should not be a reason for you to stop your application. So, and anyway, it's once you're here, it's very easy to have a teacher, and learn the language anyway, right?
Yes.
So yeah, and there are countries in Europe, especially like for example Germany, Norway, Sweden. Everyone would speak English regardless, right? Anywhere in their country. So I think that's it. That's our last question for today. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there are lots more, but we can try to do it next time in our next podcast. So I hope those questions and the answers that we gave you helped you have a more educated decision if you are going to decide, to migrate to Europe. And if you do, and if you are ready, you can of course contact us, and our team would definitely help you with your transition from your country to Europe. Of course, these are the questions that we have answered are very, very crucial to a lot of our clients. So if these questions hit you in any way, you can let us know. We welcome any comments. Of course, this is an educational platform. We're trying to make it that way. So comments are very much welcome, as long as they are decent. Of course, criticisms are also welcome as long as they are constructive. We do not encourage any criminal thing. Okay, let's just say it that way. All right, so anything to say, Joni, before we go?
I think that's all.
I think that's all right. Want to migrate to Europe? Contact JIP Migrate. We enable possibilities for those who are ready to move. Thank you so much, and see you in the next podcast.